If I could remember what led me to homelessness, I'd let you know myself. I just remember a lot of gangs, a lot of drugs, a lot of drug sales, a lot of guns. Been shot, I've been stabbed. So there's a lot of numerous factors out there that led me to where I was at and led me to where I am now. I fought a hard life for my daughter Phoenix. It went from not seeing her for a month to going through some domestic classes, being able to get visitation with her, still not see her mom, and being okay with just taking on my daughter. I first met Jennifer when she first started her outreach programming about 10, 12 years ago, when I first had ended up homeless, and just kept following through with her with time. I mean, she connected me with a lot of fundings. She was able to help me get into the programmings that I needed to get into an apartment. Numerous times she was able to connect me with social workers. Whether I followed through with them or not was on me. There was numerous amounts of things that she's done for the community as a homeless outreach worker. Yes, I am doing 100% amazing. I got my own apartment, 2 years going on.
Helping youth is unique because every youth is different. Usually what happens is we just sit down and kind of throw the pieces out on the table and find out what's really going on, what they're interested in working on, and then we start from there. My role as a outreach worker is really what can we do in the moment to minimize the stress and crisis that's going on right now. That might be things like, can we get you connected with food today? Can we get you a shower? Can we get you into crisis if you need to, a crisis bed? What can we do that will help resolve some of the stressors in the moment? And then we can start talking about longer term plans from there. A lot of it is just rapport building and getting to know people, spending time with that, understanding what their situation is, understanding what struggles that they have so that you can help be there to support them.
My history of being an addict started off when I had my first boy, and I was going through challenges of not only graduating high school, but trying to be a father, and it led me to being homeless, and I just kind of chronically, over the years, kept using, taking it out on myself. When they took my kids from me, I met Jennifer, and she told me that there's another way, and I'm not the only one that needs to go through this. I think for me, the worst time in my life, worst day that I could wake up to, was the second snowfall in December, and I was still in a tent. I was getting quite frozen, my feet were turning purple. I had just a limited fireplace because there's so much snow, and I was just trying to keep warm. And when I met her, it was just like, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you see the sunlight hit your wall, it's just, you're walking into something that you don't really know of, but at the end of the tunnel, you'll see it. You'll see everything change, and then that moment, you don't want to go back.
The day in the work life of being a street outreach worker is never the same. You have to be on your toes and just ready for whatever might come. You might be sitting at a campfire and doing paperwork for housing there. You might be in the middle of a shelter. You might be in the middle of people experiencing a crisis at that moment, and you just kind of have to be there in that moment and provide whatever support and encouragement that you can for the individuals.
I became a meth addict at the age of 15. Back then I still lived with my parents. My parents kept me until I was 18. The day I turned 18, my parents kicked me out. I was living with a guy at the time, but eventually I became homeless, and that's kind of what led me to my homelessness, was my addiction. Our homeless life, it looked very different day to day. If we were lucky, we got to couch hop. We were also addicts, so when we burned the bridges that we had to couch hop, eventually we ended up out in a tent in the woods. This was just last year.
Every day was my worst day because I knew that I could be doing better, but I just wasn't ready to be sober, so I was putting all of my focus that I knew I should have been putting towards getting my stuff correct and right-minded, that I just found myself staying in my rut.
And it just got to a point where I sat there and I'm like, why am I allowing myself to live like this, you know, for the drug? Like, it's not worth it. We weren't living. we were existing.
I met Jen when she was giving little goodie bags out of the back of her car. She had helped me get to a point to where we started looking for resources and funding and everything. It took us a while to get ourselves sober, but I can say that now that I'm sober, I'm seeing life differently, and I have different motivations to continue staying sober.
I'm very thankful for the position that I have because I have had the opportunity to meet so many awesome youth and watch them grow into the people that they are today.
If it wasn't for the outreach program, if it wasn't for Catholic Charities and the resources that they give, probably the majority part of St. Cloud would be still facing homelessness. And there would probably be a lot of substance disorders, or probably a lot of self-destruct because there's no way out.
I mean, if it weren't for the support for Jennifer and the other programs like the ones she's in, there wouldn't be anybody out there. There'd be people out there still hungry, still not having what they need on a triple degree weather day. There wouldn't be somebody there with Gatorade, and you wouldn't have money in your pocket for it.
Honestly, if I could financially help just even donate something to Catholic Charities so they could continue the work that they are doing, I would do it in a heartbeat, because there's too many people out here that are suffering. And it's not something that I would wish upon my worst nightmare. Catholic Charities is a great organization with programs like SHI program that assist individuals that are suffering get on their feet.